How'd that guy in the red get in here? Is he paid in full?
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Great to see all these faces today. We're changed around the agenda a little bit, and we're going to start with the ACC presentation. Great.
Well, good evening. Chris is on. There we go. Good evening, everybody. We turned up the AC an hour before you guys got here, but there's so many people in here, so I do apologize. It's a little bit warm. We tried to add as many chairs as possible. We were able to steal some of them from the lobby area because they have the silent auction going on right now for the Golf for Charity event. So if you, on your way out, you're welcome to bid on something, and it'd be great to help our community. It's all for charity. Jason said we rearranged the schedule. We normally would start with approval of the minutes and go into joint advisory committee reports, but we decided to just move everything forward and have the ACC covered first. After the board is all done with that, you can stay for the entire meeting. You can leave whatever you like, but we wanted to accommodate everybody. In preparing this, in doing this presentation, it's similar to what I gave last week at the work session. We've refielded a number of questions, and so I've tried to incorporate as many questions as possible or answers to those questions in the presentation. So I've tried to do that as much as I can. After this presentation, we will have an open forum session where you can come up and you'll be given 3 minutes. Jessica has a timer. Jessica over here has a timer. We time it. We want to make sure that everybody gets a fair amount. You can use less than 3 minutes, but you can't use more than 3 minutes, okay? And what we ask is everybody make their statement. And then after we're all done, after everybody member's done, then the board will respond. Okay, so it's not a give and take, it's not a back and forth. It's almost like what the city does, how they handle theirs. So just want to kind of give you a format for how today's meeting is going to go. So first of all, we're going to talk about the potential shift of the POA managing of the ACC. Okay, so first of all, well, today is the 25th. And so the board is going to consider voting today at their regular meeting. This is called the regular meeting of the board of directors, as opposed to last week, which was the work session. Okay, if approved, and the key word there is if, the transition would take place on August 1st, so only a month away. Okay, here are the goals, and these slides have not changed since last week. I've added a little bit more detail, but so the first goal is provide the ACC staff with the resources, support, training, leadership to ensure outstanding customer service is provided for our members. Ultimately, it's for our members. We want to make sure that whatever we do benefits our members. Second goal, provide our members with consistent, unbiased administration of the ACC rules and regulations. I've heard this over and over again. It's unbiased. I drive by multiple houses that are in violation. Why don't they do something, so forth. We want to make sure that we're consistent throughout. Goal number 3, improve efficiency and streamline the approval process. Visited their offices last week. Everything's on paper. They have a room almost this size with, I am not exaggerating, 60 to 70 file cabinets. Nothing digitized. Our accounting department downstairs, paperless. That's the way to go. Everything needs to be digitized, needs to make them more efficient. They're doing the best they can, but we need to give them the resources to be successful. Increase, this is a critical one, and I probably should have made this the number 1 goal. Increase community participation and transparency in the ACC process. The ACC board meetings and the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee meetings will be open to the community. So this boardroom, if you notice, we have cameras pre-positioned in multiple locations. We call this the producers area. We have one of our IT employees over there, and he switches the cameras. And we have all our committee meetings in here, and we live stream them, and we record them, and they're all available. They're all archived on our website. So we have about 8 years worth of meetings of the board that are available on the website. Right now, the ACC board meetings are not open to the public. You can't get any, you can't participate, none of that. Our goal is to include the community and be transparent. So if you are going to the board and you're appealing a decision that has been made by the ACC staff and you don't agree with it and you go to appeal, it'll be right here. You'll be standing in front of the microphone and you'll appeal to the ACC board. It'll be a light of day, okay? That's very important, but it's not how it is now. If changes are made to the ACC policies, there is zero community involvement. What we're proposing is complete community involvement. A lot of, or not, maybe not complete, but a lot of community involvement. All right, ensure there is no negative financial implications for the POA. Nothing, no negative. We're not going to take on a dog. The ACC is already self-sufficient. Plus, we are asking for at least $600,000 in reserves. So that means that that operation has to go very upside down before it hurts us in any way. And I'm going to talk about this in more detail in a couple slides. And then a clear separation of responsibilities between the ACC and the POA. An individual that serves on the POA board cannot serve on the ACC board. We don't want to have a consolidation of power. That would not be a good situation. Okay. So you guys thought you got done with graphs when you graduated from high school. So here's a couple graphs. All right, so this is what is already in place. We have the POA board. We have 9 board members. They're all here right now. They're elected by the community. So when you decide that you want to run for the board of directors, you actually go to the elections committee. You fill out your application. You have to get your 50 signatures, all that stuff. And they confirm that you're a member in good standing, meaning that you're up on your assessments. You don't have a criminal record, those kind of things. That's the threshold. That then gets voted upon by the membership, and you're elected to the board of directors. And that's how these individuals were named there. The Rules and Regulations Committee, okay, that meets on an ad hoc basis, on an as-needed basis, but changes are then recommended from the Rules and Regulations Committee to the board. Now you're going to notice I'm going to have to get it into my head when we're talking about boards. I'm going to have to make sure I say the word POA board and ACC board, and it's going to take me a little while to make sure that I get that across in my head. What we're proposing is we're going to take the elections committee that's already in place, and this elections committee here is in the middle, and the arrows are pointing out, they're not pointing in, because they're their own committee. Okay? Meaning the board of directors cannot go to the election committee and tell them what to do. Okay? They can't go to the election committee and say, we don't like this person, we don't want them to run for the board. They can't do that. They act independently. So what we're going to do is we're going to repurpose this committee that's already working really well and name it the POA Election and ACC Nomination Committee, the longest committee name we've ever had. And what they'll do is they will solicit applications to serve on the ACC board. They will interview them, and they will make a recommendation. Okay? And that process is consistent with how the board fills open board positions. Okay? So it's already in the policies, so we're just applying that same policy in a different section. It already works. You have it in another area that works. So they make their recommendation. Okay, candidate 1, 2, 3 is the best candidate. We recommend to the ACC board. Now, it doesn't go through a vote of the community. It has to be a majority vote. The ACC board can either approve or reject the recommendation. That's it. okay? They can't say, well, no, we wanted this other candidate. They can only approve or reject. It's a check and balance. These 7 members, I'm going to talk about those 7 members. Also, we'll have an ACC Rules and Regulations Committee, and they will make recommendations up. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. All right. So let's talk about the ACC board. All right, 7 members, 5 from the community, 2 employees to start. The 2 employees will be myself and Doug McCash. Doug is our general counsel, okay? Our goal is to not be on that board too long, okay? Our goal is to have an all-volunteer board. How long will Doug and I serve on that board? I don't know, a year, 2 years, something like that. We want to make sure that there's a smooth transition, okay? But our ultimate goal is to get off that board. No members of the POA board. We talked about the consolidation of power. You don't want to have the board chair of the POA board also be the chair of the ACC board. That's a consolidation of power, and that's not good. You have to have checks and balances in place. Open meetings. All the meetings will be open, okay? Currently, they're not open, which I just said right there. All volunteer board, no compensation, okay? These board members, they are not compensated. They are all volunteer, okay? Approval, the ACC board members must be approved by a majority of the ACC board, okay? All right, next. All right, the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee. So there's not even a committee yet. We're going to form it, okay? 5 members, 3 from the community, 2 from the ACC board, all volunteer, no compensation, once again. But here's the approval process, and this has a little bit of a wrinkle compared to the last one. All right, steps in changing the rules and regulations. Recommendations from the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee are then sent to the ACC board, pending final approval. Then they have to be approved by Blue Crane, okay? Blue Crane is the developer. It's their right. They paid for it. Whether we like it or not, they paid for it. They have that right. But in the provision, in the contract, they only have 5 working days. And a non-answer is a yes. So we send it in. Hey, these are the recommended changes. And they don't respond. Or they respond after 6 or 7 or 8 days. It's a yes. Okay? So then those recommendations, then they would be approved. Now notice, these first 2 meetings, so those changes to the rules and regulations, they're done in a public meeting. And the next one goes to a ACC board in a public setting. And if they were rejected at that point, it kind of looked a little bit bad. All right? Currently, there is no participation and no transparency. The developer has the right to change the rules and regulations. Whether you like it or not, that's the rules. We want to switch it completely, 100% in the other direction, have community participation and transparency. Okay, here's a possible idea. I haven't checked with the mayor on this, but it's an idea. What if we had a non-voting representative from the city attend the meetings so that the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee in the city can coordinate efforts to eliminate redundancies and overlaps. Let's have them work together as one. Now have them a non-voting member because that probably makes sense to have them a non-voting member, but let's work directly with the city. Transparency, open meetings, live streamed, community involvement. All right. Now we talked about the committee with the longest name ever. So the POA Election and ACC Nominations Committee, it was formerly the Elections Committee, interviews candidates for the ACC board and recommends those who they feel are the most capable. The ACC board must accept or reject the recommendations from the committee. They cannot cherry pick a candidate. This is a check and balance. All right. No change in duties for the POA election. It's been working great for years. Why change it? 5 members from the community, no board members, no employees, all volunteer, no compensation. Okay? Recommends the most capable ACC candidate. All right. Right to cancel. Okay, this is an important part, and this is going to come up a couple of times. In the agreement with the developer, if I say developer, Blue Crane, same thing. Right to cancel. Both parties retain the right to cancel the agreement with 30 days notice. So, if the POA is doing a horrible job, no, we're not going to, but if the POA is doing a horrible job, the developer can cancel this agreement, okay? If the financials for the ACC were ever to go upside down, 5 years from now, there's no construction going on, it's bleeding money, the reserves are dwindling, it's going to start costing the POA money, the POA could cancel the agreement to ensure there is no negative financial impact to the POA. Okay, so we can cancel it at any time. It's a good safeguard for the POA. So it's added protection for the POA and the developer. All right, accounting. We got Beth here. She loves accounting. Okay, so we're going to talk about the books. Okay, so not everybody here attends our regular meetings. But if you do attend our regular meetings, you see that we always present our financials as the POA and the water department, and then we also present it as the consolidated, okay, which is everything. But for decades, we have been presenting it as the POA and the water department, and we keep them separate, okay? We're going to do the same thing for the ACC, and we've been doing this for decades. So we're just going to replicate the same thing. So you'll notice I'm going to say over and over again, we're doing the same thing. We're using the same policies. We're just replicating everything. If it works, let's use it again. So separate books. Follow the tried and true method of the water department. Accounting for the ACC would be kept separate from the POA, including a separate P&L and balance sheet. How much reserves does the ACC have right now? Anybody know? Absolutely not, because it's confidential information. 2 months from now, you'll be able to go to the report and we'll be able to tell you, because it will be covered in this meeting, in the board meeting. It'll be fully transparent, okay? All right, staff and payroll. Similar to how we do the water department, the ACC staff will be POA employees, okay? But the payroll for these employees will be charged directly to the ACC department. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail in the very next slide. It's a proven model built on the same approach that already works. All right. All right, how are costs? How are costs handled? Just like water. All right, direct expenses. If we can put our finger on that expense, it goes to the ACC. Meaning, that ACC employee, well, they're a POA employee, but we know that they work in the ACC department, they get charged to the ACC. Their rent, because they're currently renting a location, that goes to the ACC. Supplies, they have to buy a new desk for their conference room. That expense goes directly there, okay? They need to purchase a new inspection vehicle. Great, that goes there. Everything goes there. But then you have indirect expenses, and sorry, that's the filter system that comes on every once in a while. All right, indirect costs. What they don't have is they're not going to have an accounting department. They're not going to have an HR department. They're not going to have IT. They're not going to have legal. They're not going to have the MAC department. Why? They don't need that, okay? Just like with the water department does not have accounting, they don't have legal, they don't have IT, they have none of that. So what we do is we calculate how much is a reasonable amount, and our auditors verify this, so it's not just us grabbing a number out of the sky. Our auditors have to say, yep, that we agree, and we will determine a reasonable amount, and we charge the ACC for those services. So will there be a negative impact to the POA because of the ACC? No, absolutely not. All right, now the ACC currently has agreements in place with companies who provide like HR services, payroll, that sort of stuff. It'll take us a little while to unravel it because they may have a 1 or 2 year contract that we have to abide by. So it's going to take us a while to unravel that. And we may even decide to keep on. We've met their attorney, seems like capable individual, we might keep them on an occasional, they use them on an occasional basis. That's one example. I met him once, so I don't know him that much, but he seems like capable. It may make sense to hold on to him. Okay, continue to use that service. So that's one example. So following a model that already works. Why separate the financials? Keeping the ACC financial reports will improve transparency. What we don't want to do is, well, we're just going to hide the ACC numbers and all the other POA numbers and you'll never know how they're doing. No, no, no. Fully transparent. It'll be easier for property owners to see how the ACC is performing. Since the now here's really the important one. Since the agreement can be canceled with 30 days notice, we need to know how much money is in the reserves, okay? Because if the developer comes to us and says, you guys have done a horrible job, we're firing you, how much is in reserves? We can go, there it is, that's how much. Take the vehicles, take this money, it's yours, bye. But if we blend it with the rest of the POA, how are we gonna know that? Okay, so we're gonna keep it separate because it makes sense, all right? Transparency of the ACC financial reports. You're going to be able to see it. All right, audited financials. I referenced this earlier. Currently, the financial reports for the ACC are private. Nobody's ever seen them, okay? All right, prior reports are not ours to share. So we've had a couple property owners say, hey, can I get a copy of that? No, it's not mine to give away. Have I seen them? Yes, I have. Can I give them out? Absolutely no. Not my right to give away. If you want to get a copy of them, contact Blue Crane. I'm sure they'll accompany you. After the transition, the financial reports will be made available to the public. So once we take over, then they're available. The going forward, not prior, going forward. Okay? Financial reports for the ACC, plus those of the POA and the water, will be part of the annual audit conducted each year by an outside professional audit firm. Every once in a while, a property owner will send me an email and say, we need to get our books audited. Yeah, we have 15 years of audited financials available on our website. Go for it. Okay? They've always been there. We have nothing to hide. All right, transparency of the ACC financial reports. All right, reserves, okay. Now we talked about, I referenced earlier that the ACC is financially self-sufficient. Revenue is slightly more than expenses. That's self-sufficient, okay. But on top of that, we want to make sure that we have $600,000. Now, a couple of you are going to wonder, why did I pick $600,000? If you think about it long enough, you'll figure it out on your own. But I wanted to make sure that if they received no revenue for a really long extended period, we can still pay every ACC employee. Okay? Make sense? Why? I don't want to be sitting here 2 or 3 years from now looking at the board of directors and saying, well, we don't have any money, it's costing the POA money. Absolutely no. We want them to be self-sufficient, and we want to have a reserve, because I can't predict the future. Okay? Is the housing market going to slow down in Bella Vista at some point in the future? Probably. Will that slowdown take place in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. Let's have a reserve. Let's cover ourselves and make sure that we don't have any unwelcome surprises. So a sufficient reserve will ensure the POA has no financial burden. The agreement allows that excess funds may be used for capital improvements projects which benefit the membership. So if there's excess money, we can potentially use it. That's in the agreement. I do not anticipate this occurring anytime in the near future. We have to make sure that we stabilize their expenses. We know what their expenses are before we do anything. And I'm going to cover that in just a little bit. Okay, ACC office location. Their current lease runs through the middle of 27. I think it's June. I could be wrong on that. It may make sense at that point to relocate them to a POA facility. It'd be really great if we could get them really close to member resources. They go in, they get their activity card, and they get their paint selected for their home. have them nice, convenient. That would be great. We haven't determined where we're going to place them. We have at least a year to figure that out. It would make sense, all that stuff. But if we do put them in a POA building, we're going to charge them rent. They're paying rent right now. They should pay rent in the future. Location and timing have not yet been determined. So possible to move to a POA facility once the current lease ends, with details to follow. I don't know the answer to this question. I got a couple ideas, but they're just ideas right now. All right, unknowns. I referenced this earlier. Our plan is to start sending POA employees, assuming this is approved, to work with the ACC staff next week. Our goal is to learn their procedures, get an understanding of their needs. For example, are their computers up to date? Are their records digitized? No, they're not. I already know that. Is their accounting following generally accepted accounting principles? It's not bad, but it's not on target. It needs to be better. Are they sufficiently staffed? No, etc. So we need to learn all these things. We have indications on a lot of them, but not all of them. We have no plans in the near future to change the permit fees. None, okay? Our goal will be to strike the challenging balance between the ACC being financially self-sufficient and keeping the permit fees reasonable for our membership. This is a not-for-profit organization. Their goal is not to make a lot of money. Their goal is to be self-sufficient. That's it. This isn't a for-profit company, okay? They are a 501c4, just like the POA. The POA is a 501c4, okay? Not a C3, we're not a charity. You can't write it off for your assessments as a deduction. It'd be nice if you could. Okay, growing through the changes. Like any worthwhile transition, we may have a few speed bumps. Let's drop the word may. We're gonna have speed bumps. It's going to be rocky. It's going to take a while, okay? We ask for your patience. We're going to work through it together. And we're going to ask for volunteers to serve on all those different committees that I referenced. We want volunteers. If you're concerned, volunteer. Be a part of the solution. Concerned with a delay. This is my single biggest concern right now. Delay. Okay. This is a long paragraph, I apologize. With the voluntary departure of the ACC administrator, it was determined by Blue Crane and the POA that the proposed transition to the POA management of the ACC should take place as soon as reasonably possible to limit the negative impact to our members. A lengthy delay in filling this critical position could result in delays to the overall approval of permits. It is also determined that it would be unreasonable for Blue Crane to replace this position just prior to the transition to POA management. While the transition timetable is accelerated, Blue Crane and the POA are confident an orderly transition can take place. Sounds like someone from marketing wrote that, huh? I'm concerned that any delay in this transition could have a negative impact on getting permits approved. Okay, so they have 5 employees. They've already lost the administrator, so that was the person in charge. They're gone. They have 4 employees. Okay, so anytime you hear about a corporate change or a transition or something like that, what does every employee do? I better go apply for some jobs. We start losing these employees, we got a big problem. Okay? We just had a conversation with one of the employees this morning, and they approve this, and they approve that, and they approve this. They're the only ones that have the codes for this system, the only one that has the codes for this system. We start losing those employees, we're in big trouble. And what's going to happen is permits are going to get delayed. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. So is this accelerated? Yeah. Does it freak me out a little bit? Yeah. Do we have it covered? Absolutely. Do we have the team that can make it happen? Absolutely. Why not have the city do this? Well, we have this nice code 14-56-204. A municipality shall not regulate residential building design elements. Well, that's pretty straightforward. Now, there was some commentary on social media today that was really interesting. They tried to really dig in deep on it, and so they were saying, well, maybe there's an exception here. Let's look at this exception. So I went to an attorney and had him view it, because we all want to be amateur attorneys, but let's go to a real one. And so he wrote. So we were talking earlier that a marketing person wrote. Now we have a legal person writing this one. The exception stated in Arkansas Code does not prohibit municipalities and private individuals from entering into separate agreements amongst themselves related to design elements. The statute restricts municipalities from passing ordinances that would impose blanket residential design elements on its citizens. In other words, an individual citizen might choose to negotiate with a municipality and agree to certain design elements, but the municipality could not unilaterally impose such requirements on all citizens. Now, I challenged him. I said, well, come up with an example. And we really struggled. And the only example we could come up with is, okay, I live in the Kintyre area, Kintyre Lane area. And if we went to every property owner and they all agreed, every single one said, hey, we're going to go with shake shingle roofs. And every single one agreed to that. We could potentially go to the city and say, okay, we're not going to require all, if anybody changes their roof down the road, down the line, in Kintyre, but every single one on that street's got to agree to it. That ain't going to happen. No way. It's not going to happen. So let's go back to the simple statement. A municipality shall not regulate residential building design elements. There it is, right there. Very simple. I personally don't want my neighbor to repaint their home bubblegum pink. I think it'll have a negative impact on my property values. That's why I live in a planned community. All right, planned community. It's almost like I wrote this. Some have suggested we disband the ACC. So 2 points. First of all, it's not within the POA's legal right or authority to do so. Can't do it, not our rights. It's the developer. They're not going to get rid of it either, okay? Second, Bella Vista has always been a planned community with standards in place to preserve property values. I read an article years ago. I can't remember. I can't cite it. You can call me a liar. I don't care. But the article said that living in a planned community, your property values tend to be worth 10% more than a non-planned community. I believe that. I personally believe that. I live in a planned community because I don't want my neighbor to have their burned out car on blocks in their front yard for months on end. Okay? And if I didn't have an issue with that, well, then I can go live in a neighboring city that doesn't have those restrictions. I personally believe in planned communities. That's me. Board vote. Okay. The board of directors, these guys, were elected by the membership, you guys. Okay? As elected representatives of the community, it is the board of the directors who will vote on this proposal. So a couple of people have said, well, why, this should be a community vote. Now, you voted for these individuals. You're not going to go to the U.S. Senate and tell Tom Cotton what to do, okay? You don't get a vote. He votes, okay? All right, frequently asked questions. Marketing person put this together. Okay, has the agreement been decided? No. Have we had a lot of conversations? Absolutely. Okay. The POA board is reviewing the proposal at its June 18th work session. There's no vote taken. There was no vote taken there. They're meeting today. What is the proposal? That the authority to review building and exterior plans to administer that review and to ensure Bella Vista's protective covenants move to the POA. Today, this review is handled by the Architectural Control Committee operated under the developer. Under the proposal, the POA would administer it going forward. If the POA does the reviews, who makes the rules? The protective covenants and design standards remain the responsibility of the developer. The POA could administer, would administer, and enforce these standards and may recommend changes. We're going to recommend the changes. Okay, so when I read the policies for the ACC, like the first paragraph that they were, first 1 or 2 paragraphs on those documents, they're talking about how the ACC board is elected. Okay, nobody cares. Put that at the end. It should be a user's guide. It should be easy to read. Hey, brand new property owner who wants to build a new home, here's your user's guide. And oh, by the way, if you want to learn how to get elected to the board, great, it's on the very end. Okay? It should be an easy to read guide. Doug, who is our general counsel, and JB, who has been on our Rules and Regulations Committee for years, they went through this process years ago of going through all of the POA policies and trying to make them as easy to read as possible and to try and take out as much of the legal language as possible so the average person can fully understand them. If you look at the ACC rules, right now they're not so easy to read. Okay? We want to make it easier to read. I want a user's guide. The user experience needs to be better. Okay? I've already had that conversation with the developer. They agree, 100%. Okay? How can I get involved? If the proposal is approved, the POA will invite members, you guys, to apply to serve on the board, serve on all those committees. Okay? We want you involved. We also, we're going to post it on the newsletter. And here's the cool thing. I'm going to deviate right now. Think of our newsletter. So right now, our weekly newsletter goes out every week. It goes out to about 30,000 email addresses, and we have about a 50% open rate. What if we included helpful ACC information? Just one message a week, just one small thing. Hey, by the way, if you're going to do this, make sure you get a permit, or make sure you do this, make sure you put your trash can away. How can we use the information that the POA has at its disposal to make the lives for our property owners better? Because we always want to we have this mission statement, we always walk by it, enhancing the lives of our members. That's what our goal is, and that's what we think that we will accomplish with this. All right, will my assessments or dues go up? No. We've talked about we're going to keep it separate. Now, is it possible a year or two from now we might go for an assessment increase? Yeah. That's what the POA does. We have our costs go up. Will it have anything to do with the ACC? No. Okay? So I'm not going to say we're never going to have an increase in our assessments, but I don't want to do it anytime soon. It didn't work out so well the last vote. So I don't want to go through that brain damage again. But this will not have an impact on your assessments. Separate books. All right. Will this make getting approvals easier for people building their homes? Yeah, we talked about that. We want to make it more efficient. We want to make it quicker. I don't like it when I hear, now I have no control over it right now, when people come to me and they say, I'm not getting a return call, it's taking too long to get it approved, all those things. Now, will that change on day one if the POA takes over? No. It's going to take us time. It's going to take us time, but we're going to get there. I have an application in process. What happens to it? Applications already in process would continue without interruption. We're just going to make sure we got enough staff to do it. If anything about, whatever. When would this take effect? August 1st. This presentation will be available on our website. I love asking this question. People come to me and they have complaints. Well, if not the POA, who? Okay? ACC is not going away. They're not. Okay? It's not our legal decision to make. The developer has that right. They're not going away. All right? Second, city can't take it over. We already looked at that ordinance. Here's an idea. Should the developer hire a for-profit firm outside of our community to administer the ACC? I don't think so. The developer feels the POA is the best fit for their responsibility. For many planned communities, The POA and the ACC fall under one umbrella. At my last community, that was the case. Okay? And we, at my last community, had an all-volunteer ACC board. It worked. All right. So we have this information page that our marketing department set up. So it's got the video, the Facebook video that I did yesterday, and it'll have this presentation available. So we're trying to get as much information out there as possible. All right. We talked about this. Volunteer, become involved. We got a group of 9 volunteers right here, okay? This is your chance to make a real difference. We're excited to welcome neighbors into 5 positions on the ACC board, 3 positions on the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee, and 1 position on the POA Elections and ACC Nominations Committee. So we got a bunch of openings coming up. What we'd like to do is try and fill those positions in a pretty quick pace because we want to make sure that we hit the ground running, okay? So get involved. Corporate Secretary, Jessica, right here. She's already updated the form. We just used the same form that we used for ACC, JAC. So if you want to volunteer for the Joint Advisory Committee to serve on the Golf Committee, the Lakes Committee, the Rec Committee, we use the exact same form, and you can volunteer for the ACC, okay? One of these committees, all right? We welcome you. And I said, we're moving quickly. Get a hold of Jessica. Jessica will be here after the meeting. So if you have any questions, you want to corner her, you can. All right. Key points. All right. Greater transparency. It's currently not in place. Greater transparency. More community involvement. Currently not in place. No negative financial impact to the POA. Improved efficiency and customer service. Those are the 4 messages. It all boils down to those 4 things that we want to accomplish. I got the microphone. Okay. All right, so that's the end of my presentation. So now we're going to go into where property owners can come up one at a time. Jessica has they signed up. You're going to come up to the mic. Please state your name clearly, okay, and state your address. And if you're not a homeowner, but you're a property owner, just tell us what road your property is on. We're going to limit you to 3 minutes. She's got a timer here that's going to come on. She threatened to turn on the timer before the presentation started. She wanted to try and limit me to 3 minutes. Wouldn't have worked. Okay. You can't share your time. So I only use 2 minutes. I'm going to give my 1 minute to this person. Nah, you can't do that. Okay. So every property owner will talk. Okay, this isn't a debate. You just come up and you talk into the microphone. Okay, and you'll notice that I'll be keeping notes and everything. I'll keep notes. Okay, that's a point. You know, I'll try and address anything. Hopefully, I've covered most of the stuff in the presentation. But if I've missed anything, I'll try and cover that. Okay, so once all the members have spoken, either the board chair, Jason, or myself respond, and then we're done. Okay, so it's not oh, well, I got another question. That's not how it works, okay? So we'll do this in a very orderly manner because we have several people on the list. Yes? We have several. Oh, he's got it. Okay, great. And I'm going to leave this slide Yes?
Didn't realize there was a sign-up sheet.
Okay, don't worry. If you did not get your name on a sign-up sheet, after the last person goes, Jason, the board chair, will say, "Is anybody else want to talk?" Okay, so we'll catch you. We'll catch you. I'm going to leave this up. Always good to have a reminder of rules, and it'll also allow me to back up. If someone asks a question, I can always back up and go to a slide that was already covered. So hopefully I covered everything. As I indicated at the very beginning, I fielded a lot of questions over the last several days, and I've tried to answer as many of them as possible. If I missed anything, I apologize. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Tom. All right, starting open forum. Did you sign up, David? Mr. Brandenburg.
David Brandenburg, Hornby Lane. I watched the last week work session and viewed the presentation with the updates again today. And we all know that the ACC has been a topic of concern and conversation for a long time. And I believe that this proposition has a very real chance of success and improving things for our property owners and making our community a better place. So I urge you to go ahead and vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
I didn't use my 3 minutes either.
Yeah, no. You can't pass it on either, David. Next, Patty Foss.
Good evening. My name is Patty Foss. I've been in Bella Vista 8 or 9 years. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. First, I just want to say to my fellow Bella Vistans, I have been poking around looking for civic engagement and people who are caring and want to know what's going on. So I can't tell you how happy this makes me that everybody's in this room. And if City Council would look the same way, it would be great. I did prepare my remarks because I would ramble. Over the past week, I have spent considerable time learning more about the proposed ACC transition. I appreciate the willingness of the board members and Mr. Judson to answer questions and discuss the proposal. After those conversations, I can see how this transition could improve member service and increase transparency. It may very well prove to be the right operational solution for Bella Vista. However, I remain concerned about the process. My concern is not about improving member experience. I think everyone agrees that reducing delays and increasing transparency are worthwhile goals. My concern is whether a significant organizational change such as this has received the level of discussion, inquiry, and member engagement that it deserves. The Board of Directors serves as the elected voice of the membership. While the management appropriately leads day-to-day operations and brings recommendations forward, the board's role is to ask questions, consider alternatives, evaluate risks, and ensure that members fully understand significant changes affecting our community. As our community continues to evolve, I hope that we will see even greater opportunities for robust discussion, thoughtful questioning, and meaningful member engagement before major decisions are made. Bella Vista's comprehensive plan was built through community involvement. I hope that the same spirit of engagement will continue to guide us as we make important decisions about our future. Whether this transition is approved tonight or not, I hope it results in improved service, greater transparency, clearer accountability, and more opportunities for residents to participate in the life and governance of our community. Because this transition will rely on existing POA departments and staff, I hope the board will continue to monitor resource needs and operational impacts carefully to ensure that other areas of the organization are not unintentionally strained as these new responsibilities are now assumed. Thank you to the board, the staff, volunteers, and community members who continue to serve Bella Vista. I will say, my one remaining question is, if I were you guys, why did that administrator leave?
Thank you, Patty. All right, next, Charles, and I'm sorry, I can't, Clem.
My name's Charles Clemens. My number one overriding question is how, if at all, this is going to affect new residential building permits that are granted in Bella Vista in a year. Coupled with that, I guess one of my concerns would be that this might be used as a fast track to build a number of short-term rentals to glut the market, glut the supply of housing here in Bella Vista. And as Tom mentioned, we might have a slowdown in building in the future. Well, if there's a large increase in the supply of housing, especially short-term rentals, if we have a drop in demand in the future, that's going to go diametrically against what you say your strategic goal is, which is to maintain property values. So that's my number one concern. How is that going to affect, if at all, the number of new residential building permits that are granted in a year?
Thank you. Ruth? Thatcher? Yeah, sure. You want, I'll get you a mic.
Reasons for the POA to take over the ACC. Membership of the POA would be involved, and that's something new, that since we are not involved at all now, it would be an improvement. Consistency across the board. Consistency is number one concern in Bella Vista when things are permitted of new ideas, etc. Aim for outstanding service, which has not been a consideration at this time. We do not consider this ACC as outstanding service. Streamline efficiently in the approved process. 2 instead of 3 agencies involved, and that's been a problem all along. We talk about the 3-legged stool. A 2-legged stool in this case would be very good instead of a 3-legged. Steps to regulate the committee members and actions. There's no action now that gives us any permit to regulate at all. It would be a great improvement as we go. They're all positive changes for the POA membership, which many have been asking for the past 26 years that I've been here in Bella Vista. And I think it's time that we make some changes and make it friendly to the POA. I urge you to vote yes on this issue.
Thank you, Ruth. Did anybody else not sign up that you wanted to speak? Jump on up there.
Dave Edwards, Lockerbie Drive. Most of the questions I had have already been answered in what I consider an excellent presentation. A couple things I just wanted to say real quick. I have had interactions with the board during the times I was putting on the large Bella Vista festivals. I've had interactions with Mr. Judson. I couldn't be happier. I got questions answered. I was helped. I do have confidence in this board. I will say I've had one interaction with the POA in the last the ACC in the last 5 years. 3 different employees in the office gave me 3 different opinions. Finally got worked out, but we need consistency in that. I would like to know what prompted Blue Crane to propose the transfer to ACC. My other question has been answered, so I guess the last thing I'd like to do is just extend my personal welcome to Dave Armstrong to the board. I think his viewpoint, knowing him as I do a little bit, I think his viewpoint's going to be a tremendous asset to the board. Thank you very much.
How much did he pay you for that? Thank you. Yes, sir.
George Holmes, 14 Brixton Lane. I've been running the maintenance company here in Bella Vista for 43 years. I've dealt with the ACC for all 43 of those years. I was on the ACC board. I was on the city council. You made a statement earlier that if I appealed a denial to the ACC, I could not get in front of the board. That is a bad, wrong answer, okay? Well, you have the right to go before the ACC board to fight your battle, for better words, okay? The other thing was that you're all's picking up the speed of getting house permits issued quicker. The ACC doesn't control that. That's controlled by the city. You control the colors, you control the shingles. Little bitty things you control is not what's slowing down getting permits to build houses out here, okay? I have no problem with the POA taking over the ACC. There's been many, many years of the good old boys system. Whoever was friends with the man that was given the permits got to do what he wanted to do, when the rest of us didn't always get to do what we wanted to do. So I do believe that there is a good choice to get a committee that can take over and make this a more fair playing field. Thank you.
Thank you. Just go.
Good evening. My name is Ben Hunt, 21 Harborough Lane. I imagine everybody's here tonight because they love Bella Vista and they want to see if this is going to be a good benefit to them. I'm also here for the same reason. I love Bella Vista, and I want to see if this is going to be a good move for the benefit of the residents of Bella Vista. One question I have in the form of a statement is, I see all the positive things that are up on the board, and they look really positive, and I appreciate your time yesterday going through this. I feel pretty comfortable that the intentions are meant well, and my question is, through the permit process, there's 3 legs, like she mentioned, the stool. If you have the opportunity, could you explain to us how it's going to reduce that redundancy, because that's on a lot of people's minds? Thank you very much.
Anybody else want to step up to the microphone? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I hate talking in public, so it's helpful.
You're fine.
My name is Mark Jakin. I'm on Arable Lane. So since the committee members are going to be selecting future members, it seems to me there's a danger of getting a very limited point of view on the board, because they're going to be selecting their own members. So I guess I have 2 questions. How do you guard against that? And also, will there be, I know it's not elected, but will there be term limits so that nobody gets on the board and stays forever? Because I'm kind of pessimistic by nature, so to be honest. So my concern is that it's not an elected position. So if the board starts going in a direction that the members are not comfortable with, it doesn't seem like the members would have any recourse to that. So I'm just wondering, how do you keep it open at the board level as far as perspectives, and then do you limit the amount of time that people can serve on it? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Piggyback on something you just said, is that allowed?
No, it's unfortunately, sorry. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Cody Conklin. I'm at 4 Pratt Lane. Building on the gentleman's point earlier who spoke to the fast tracking of potential short-term rentals, my partner and I relocated to this area about 2 years ago from Nashville. We lived in a neighborhood that was once rich in community, and unfortunately, short-term rentals moved in as the popularity of that area grew, and we saw that community just crumble. It's a big part of the reason why we left. While I am all for certainly streamlining these processes to the benefit of the membership, I would just ask that the board, as they move forward and as these proposed reorganizations move forward, that it's done with careful consideration to the growth, the real community that we have found here that brought us here, and just a strong caution that it is that same mission statement on the wall that is adhered to for the enhancement of the lives of the members, to not. I've seen great neighborhoods destroyed by short-term rentals, and I would absolutely be so disappointed and heartbroken if that were to happen here. So yeah, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Cody. You almost got stopped. Well, sir, yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah. My name's Greg Ballman. We live at 5 Rackwick Circle. I appreciate the presentation tonight. I think it was really educational. I'm just kind of getting up to speed with what's going on with this. But being in the development world, building private golf communities through the years, and serving on boards like the ACC, I understand kind of the developer side, that's kind of the private side, versus something like this that almost feels natural and inevitable that the ACC would move to the POA. It just seems to make sense, because everybody in here has a vested interest in the community, and you do too. So I think it's a great move. I think it's the right move, and I hope everybody can get on board. So.
Thank you. Anybody? You're not on the list. Go ahead.
Bob Brooks, Superman girlfriend, Lane. Have we looked into, our management team looked into ascertain whether or not there's been any legal actions brought against the ACC or legal challenges? And if so, have those been cleared up before we take over?
Okay, thanks, Bob. Anybody else? Yes, Deborah.
Deborah Lukács, 9 Windstone Lane. If I could just get a little more clarification for myself and for the room. The declaration is the source document for the creation of the ACC, the POA, and the Town Home Association. If that is the source document and to change the declaration takes a 2/3 vote, is moving the review authority from the ACC over to the POA a significant change to that declaration, and help me understand why that would not require a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Anybody else? Okay, I know we have one email that has been sent in. Go ahead, Jessica.
This email is from Steve McKee. After listening to the work session presentation, I've got a couple of questions. We know about the required legal separation of water and POA per Powell lawsuit, but it's not clear why the ACC falls into the same category. Could you explain why this department should or must be separate from the POA? Given the idea to keep the ACC and POA separate, how could the ACC funds be used for POA capital improvements? Please provide the annual ACC financials for the year ending in 2025. What is the plan for the POA enforcement of the covenants? Will this cost be covered by the ACC as is or necessitate an increase in fees? Will any overlaps between the city and ACC be removed from the ACC? What is the expected cost to the ACC to provide POAs, IT, accounting, etc.? Who provides those services now? After August 1, it wasn't clear if Tom and Doug will be employees of the ACC and or members of the board of the ACC. What will be compensation, if any? It is clear that the ACC is funded by fees collected during the review process. Do you foresee a staffing level change? Thank you, Steve McKee.
Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, so
tag it?
Yeah. So the way this works is I try and keep notes on every comment that has been made. I'll probably miss some. Now I'll be available after the meeting if you want to hold on. If I miss anything, if you don't want to talk in front of other people and you want to approach me one-on-one, if you have whatever, I will be here and I will stay as long as you need me to stay to address that. So if I miss anything, I do apologize. I'm going to try and make sure that I cover everything. All right. So I'm going to go backwards. So in the declaration, and Doug will jump in if I say anything foolish. In the declaration, the developer has the right to assign the POA, the ACC. That's what they're doing. They're assigning. So they're not changing, we are not changing the declaration. They have the right to assign. Okay, now later on, for those intrepid souls that want to stay for the entire board meeting, we're going to go over some policies and procedures that are going to help set up, be the foundation on the POA side for the POA taking over the ACC. Okay? Because the POA Rules and Regulations Committee met. Okay, we have a document. It's called the Declaration that is available on our website, and the Declaration was written in 1965, and it was written by lawyers for lawyers. It is very hard to read. And in the 60 years since that document was created, there's been court rulings, there's been changes in the law, there's been the creation of the city of Bella Vista, there's been a whole bunch of different things that have occurred. So what we did was we knew that we could not, and Deborah referenced this, we knew we could not change the Declaration because it's really near impossible to change the Declaration. But what we did was we went through on the Declaration, and what we call it is the red notated version. So here's all this legalese that nobody can understand, and then we wrote in red, this is what that means. And oh, by the way, there was a court case that influences this. And oh, by the way, the city was created, and that influences this. So we have not changed the Declaration, but the red line version makes it easier to understand. I referenced earlier a user's guide. We tried to make the Declaration, which is a really hard document to understand, we tried to make it a user's guide. Also incorporated in there, over the years, I've gotten a lot of questions about the Declaration, and what people will do is they will kind of cherry pick. They'll go to one, it's like 25 pages long, they'll cherry pick and they'll ask me questions. And so I incorporated all those questions, all the answers into it. Now, interesting, we did this work with the red notated version of the Declaration 3 years ago. The number of questions that I received other than today about the Declaration since we created the red notated version, 0. It was a success. We tried to make it easier on the property owners. So, assignment. We're not changing the Declaration. They have that right, that legal right. Next one, legal. We're indemnified. It's in the contract. Okay? So, let's say they get, first of all, we ask the question, are there any major lawsuits, like the white picket fence lawsuit? Is there anything going on? And they said no. Okay? Now, after August 1, that's on us. It'd be covered by our insurance. So if we mess up and we get sued, that's a different story.
Us, ACC, or us?
I'm sorry, POA. Well, it'd fall under the same insurance policy. Okay. Term limit. Who said that term limit? Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. And we're thinking we're thinking 3-year terms and 2-year two-term limit. Now, look, I mean, is it possible? I mean, is it possible that a rogue group could get themselves elected? What's the saying? Don't let perfect get in the way of good. Because don't forget, where are we at right now? You know, we're not even close to good.
I know I was going to the extreme.
Yeah. So, hey, in a perfect world, I agree completely, but let's not let perfect get in the way of good. This is, in my opinion, a huge improvement. I agree with term limits. What we plan on doing for the 7 members is, 2 would have a 1-year term, 2 would have a 2-year term, and 3 would have a 3-year term. And that way we have a nice steady rotation so that you have a continuity of history. And it sounds like you are informed. I encourage you to volunteer. There we go. Growth control. We got to be really careful about growth control. And one of the comments was a fast track. Someone used the word fast track. Okay, so I don't want to give the impression that we're going to fast track or ignore. The ACC serves a proper function. So do I want to improve the efficiency? Absolutely. Do we want to fast track and just approve everything? No, that's not what I'm saying. So I want to be very careful about that. And some of the issues about building permits and STRs really are more city issues than ACC issues. I did misspeak. Yes, you could previously incur, and that's not what I meant. I apologize. I said a lot of words up there. I meant in a public setting. You can see from what we've set up with controls and so forth, we're trying to implement checks and balances, transparency, community involvement. That's where I'm really focusing on. So you are correct, you could appeal to the board, and I misspoke in that area. Why is Blue Crane looking? That's not what they do. Blue Crane's not interested in running the ACC. Doug and I are pretty much convinced that they didn't even know about the ACC until the last minute, and they were like, what? I don't know if that's a great answer, but really the person to answer that question is Blue Crane. Good luck on getting an answer. Why did the outgoing person leave? I don't know. I haven't spoken. I'm not going to use her name. I don't think it's appropriate. That's, you know, I know her, but I haven't spoken with her. I don't know why she's leaving. I wish her well. Supposedly she has a new job lined up, outstanding. But I did use a key word in there, voluntary. She voluntarily left. So that's all I know on an official basis. Other than that, you'd have to get a hold of her. I talked about service, community involvement, transparency, due diligence. I think that, did I miss anything? I think, you know, anybody that knows me knows that I work on, you know, I've been working on this, you can't believe, over the last several weeks. That's all I've been doing. You can talk to my wife, she's pissed at me. But due diligence, I feel that we know as much as we need to know at this point. Are there things that we don't know? Absolutely. Are we going to go in when we tour the place and find out stuff? Absolutely. Is it going to be a rocky road for a couple months? Absolutely. The comment I keep on telling my team is, I wish we could hit the fast forward button and be here a year from now, and I think we're going to be in a lot better place than we are. Hey, is this going to be a burden on our POA staff? Yeah. Accounting's over here. They're going to have to chip in, and legal's going to have to chip in, and the IT guys are going to have to chip in. Will we let it negatively impact the rest of the POA? No, we're not going to do that. We know what our core responsibility is. They're going to get it done. We have an outstanding team. So I am extremely confident. And ultimately, if this goes bad, I'm the one that has to sit in front of this board and then give me a hard time. So am I going to set myself up for failure? No way. I'm going to close it with this. I am convinced this is the right thing for our POA. We have the experience to make it happen. We can make it more transparent, more customer service oriented, more community involvement, create the checks and balances that will keep it running properly. I'm personally convinced this is the right thing to do. I don't have a vote in this matter, it's the board, but I'm convinced this is the right thing to do. What would be the easiest thing for Tom's personal life regarding the ACC? Not touch this at all. Why? Because I believe in enhancing the lives of our members. This will make it better. Absolutely. I believe that.
Thank you, Tom. And I don't know if but that's the 3-year term, there's 3 board members on 3-year terms, so every year we're swapping out. So that's modeling it after that. Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Tom, for answering. Next is the motion.
I move we authorize management to execute the delegation of Architectural Review Authority agreement between Bella Vista Developer LLC and the POA. The effective date of this transfer will be August 1st, 2026.
Thank you, Jeff.
A second.
Thank you, JB. More discussion? Deborah?
I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. Appreciate your input. It's a big decision. I like everything I heard. I appreciate the diligence that the management team has put into this, and who knows who all else. I'm sure a lot of people put a lot of work into this. Everything sounds really, really good. Patty, your concerns are the only things that give me pause. It is a big decision, and have we had enough time? I don't know yet. I have about 3 minutes to decide.
Thank you, Deborah. Go ahead, Tom.
The one thing I want to say, the board may or may not debate this, so I want to make sure everybody is aware of how the board works. So the board meets 3 times a month. The first time they meet is in we call the GM meeting, which is a closed meeting. The second one is the work session, that's open to the membership, and then this third one. So what happens sometimes is the board has discussed it in great detail in the first and or second meeting, and by the time they get to the third meeting, then they kind of are done talking about it, okay? So what ends up happening is property owners will show up, and the only meeting they attend is the third meeting, and then you guys didn't talk about it at all. So they have talked about it. We've been talking about it all month long. So I just want to be clear on that, if people are like, well, the board didn't debate it at all, because they already have.
Thank you. I echo what Deborah said. I appreciate everybody being here and voicing their opinion, whether it's pro or con. We always like to hear from the membership, so thank you all for showing up in this warm room and listen to Tom talk so much. Is there any other discussion? Yeah, David.
I would just like to say, you know, on behalf of the board members, we've put a lot of time and effort into this decision. I know it seems quick, but as Tom just outlined, we've been to several meetings. We've really done due diligence on this. Doug has been instrumental in looking at legal ramifications of this. And I feel very confident that we've done as much homework as we can. As Tom has mentioned, will there be bumps in the road? Yeah, there's going to be some bumps, and we understand that. But it'd be a heck of a lot bumpier if we don't do something. I'm concerned, very concerned about what would happen if we don't approve this. Then what happens to the ACC, and does it fall apart, and does that create havoc in our community? And I would hate to see that. I think we can streamline the process. I do think that there are still areas where, you know, we get confused as to who permits what, and I think that needs to come together as a community. I think your idea, Tom, of having someone from the city sit into board meetings on the ACC is a great one, because what we're hearing as realtors from builders in Bella Vista is it's getting more and more and more complicated to build here. Should there be oversight? Absolutely. We don't want guys to, you know, to come in and just build whatever they want, however they want. There should be inspections, there should be oversight, there should be all that. But what's happening now is there's movement of the goalposts. So they ask the builders to do one thing and they do that, and then all of a sudden the goalpost moves and they ask them to do something else. We need to have a better system in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. And that's not all on the ACC. In fact, very little of that is on the ACC. Most of that is on the city. And a lot of the stuff that you were talking about with short-term rentals, that's on the city. But I think as a community, this might help us come together instead of having the city doing their thing and the POA and the ACC doing their thing. Let's come together as a community. Let's all work together. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to play. It's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to retire. It's a great place. So let's make it even greater, and I think we have an opportunity to do that.
Thank you, David. Dave? Sorry.
I have a comment
Yeah, go ahead, Jackie.
about, also thank everybody for coming tonight, and I can't think of a better group of individuals to volunteer for these 9 positions we have coming up, because you're obviously vested and have interest in this and want to see it done right. So I really do ask y'all to just really seriously consider volunteering for this first rotation of the positions that we have here. I'll just kind of in jest, but kind of in truth. The POA gets blamed for a lot of things the ACC did anyway. So I'm kind of looking forward to us being able to have accountability and transparency and being able to communicate what's going on, so that when there are complaints, it's above board, and we have a hand in making the decisions of what's going forward. So I did have one technical question. Your 600,000 reserve, the financials are private, but I guess I'm just asking, we're comfortable that that funding is available for that to be the reserve level?
Yes, it's
Okay.
more than that.
Okay.
It's more than that. We've seen the financials. Our CFO, Beth, has gone through them with her team. We feel very comfortable. Yes.
Thank you. Jeff, do you have anything else? Kim? Bob? Kathleen? JB? All right. All in favor of this motion, raise your hand. All opposed? 9-0. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we're going to go into the next session, and you can stay for the whole meeting.
Come on, it's fun.
You can go to the silent auction and put bids down.
Thank you, everybody.
So you got a tea time?
For viewers at home, we're going to take a short recess real quick, so hang on.
Hey, if it's pregame, I'm lost. I'm focused on the presentation. Jessica, you get it? I'm serious.
I think today was on. Sorry.
Today was the last day. There you go.
Hey, no problem. Just wait for Bob and then we'll get back started. All right, we shall resume. Next order of business is the approval of the May 28th regular meeting. Can I get a motion, please?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the May 28th.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Dave. Fourth. Did anybody see any, have any questions, corrections? All right, all in favor? 9-0. Next is the approval minutes of our work session on June 18th. Can I get a motion, please? Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Kim. Anything on those changes, corrections, questions? Nope. All right. All in favor of the approval of those, the work session minutes, sorry. So we had 8-0.
In other words, Bob abstains.
Bob abstains.
He's reminding us to use our mics.
Okay. Next. Phew, seems like forever. Joint Advisory Committee reports. Bob. Tom, you have,
I have
Rec and Lakes.
Rec and Lakes. Do you want me to just say that they met and you can look at the minutes online?
Yes.
Okay. So the Rec Committee met and the Lakes Committee met, and they you can see all the information online. They did a great job.
That gives you time, Miss Ruth, for golf.
We met on June 10th, and our opening was welcoming new board liaisons, Kim Carlson to us, Bob Brooks was returning, and Dave Armstrong moved from our committee to the board. And we congratulate all of you and happy to help you with us. The facilities report kind of revealed one thing, that the carts are a concern. They're showing a lot of wear. We're in our last year of the contract, so they're going to show wear. We've got a lot of people using carts on different situations. The next major fleet bid will be in October. New carts are expected late next year, so we need to hang on for another year. Ongoing repairs include windshields, seats, pins, and tires. So they are working on it. Anything of safety issue is being addressed. It's not that we're not addressing that. Maintenance and agronomy. 5 truckloads of sod were installed in May. 2 more were pending at the Highlands and Kingswood. Bunker edge repairs were completed at Dogwood. Erosion repairs were underway at Highlands number 1. Green aerification was scheduled to Scottsdale and Brittany next week, and the color aerification on all courses in early July. The third pre-emergent application was planned for Kingswood, Birksdale, and Country Club. Testing Zoysia establishments without removing Bermuda on selected holes is being done. They're going to see if that's a benefit or not. It would save money and time. Bunker rake placement remains flexible. That was an issue, whether they're in or out of the bunker. USGA recommends outside. We said what was ever best for people who are doing the work. Makes it easier. Country Club number 3 sod installation was complete. Kingswood's fan project also is nearing completion. The operations and revenue exceeded expectations in rounds, range usage, and also group and sales, pro shop sales. Year-to-date rounds, 15,490 over last year. The driving range remains the busiest in northwest Arkansas, and it's unbelievable the number of buckets of balls that goes out in the driving range. Events, Alex reported the Folds of Honors was complete. Upcoming events are Alzheimer's Tournament on June 20th, Friends of Highlands July 4th, Junior Camps July 8th through 11th, Couples Mixer on July 18th, and All in the Family July 25th, and Future Academy Invitation will be July 25th. I want to report that the Golf for Charity had socket to me yesterday in the rain, and we still raised $1,850 for charity. So that was a morning event, and we were very proud of all the volunteers who stayed with us in the rain. A few of them got wet, but most of them were happy to do it. Old business, budget review items are still under consideration. There's always an expansion, car pass, T-box leveling, bunkers, pace of play, tree replacement, and course signage are on the table yet. Okay, new business, the committee members met to interview, we interviewed the new prospective members, and we have submitted 2 names for your approval tonight at the board meeting, and we present the fact that we'd like to have you address it as positive. So, okay?
Thank you, Ms. Ruth.
Yes.
I don't have a question. I just want to commend Ruth because every year she comes through, and every year I get an email and I'm like, just whatever you need, because she's like a mentor to me on volunteering. So thank you, Ruth.
That's what makes it easier when people say whatever you need.
And Mr. Chairman, I want to echo those sentiments. In fact, I got a thank you letter this morning. I know several of us did volunteer. And at the end of the letter, there was the expression chocolate. So I'd like to present Ruth with a chocolate kiss.
Thank you very much. Newcomers have been teased with the chocolate all along, and there is, but this is strictly charity, so there is no chocolate. And they keep saying, why does everybody talk about chocolate? Nobody produces it. So I said, the next tournament, they will have chocolate, but make sure you sign up. So I thank you very kindly.
Good job, Bob. Okay, thank you, Ms. Ruth. Beth, financial.
Okay, it's been a long night, so Jessica, set the timer. I'm gonna, for real. I'm gonna go through this very quickly. All the slides will be on the website for everybody to view, along with all the detailed financials as well. So here we go. Consolidated results, everything looks good. EBITDA reached $2.5 million year-to-date in May, better than budget by $1.3 million and prior year by $1.5. You can see that revenue exceeded budget in prior year. POA only. The May EBITDA was $213,000, which was just slightly worse than budget by $7, and better than prior year by $743,000. Again, you can see that revenue, the chart on the left, exceeds budget in prior year. Golf is looking really good, better than budget by $32,000 in prior year, driven by all the core revenue streams there. And the operating expenses were only $6,000 worse than budget due to labor. F&B is looking good. It only missed its May EBITDA by $2,000, but year-to-date they're still better than budget by $75,000, and that's by strong beer sales along with Pioneer Cup sales. Sales of foreclosed lots were $45,000 in May. That was a good win for the month. Membership transfer fees are falling a little bit behind, $57,000 year to date, and we're still seeing some of those expense timing benefits as versus actual, when they hit actual and when they hit budget. Water's looking good. EBITDA for May was $328,000, missed budget by $16,000, beating prior year by $154,000. Again, you can see revenue beat budget in prior year. There's the one pager. All the departments except for 3 are better than budget year to date. Those 3 aren't that far behind and will probably catch up. And there's your debt and your cash balances. Any questions? And I did.
You got 50 seconds left. No, thank you, Beth.
I'd also like to point out that now this happened this month, But Doug and the legal team and accounting and everybody did the online auction, and it was an all-time record, $295,000.
Really?
They did outstanding on that.
So we're gonna keep him?
Another day.
Okay.
Through another online auction. And the ACC transition.
You're as good as your last show, Doug.
That's awesome. Okay, we have a few policies under review. You want to shut this off?
Yes, please. Okay, so the Rules and Regulations Committee met yesterday. Now, normally the Rules and Regulations Committee would meet towards the beginning of the month. Then you have the work session. Then you have the regular meeting. And at the regular meeting, a vote is taken, and that's the first reading. And then you go through the whole process again, and then you have the second reading next month. Okay. Well, we couldn't have a Rules and Regulations Committee meeting before the work session because we couldn't necessarily talk about the ACC at that time until we hit the work session. So there is a provision in the bylaw, in the policies, which would allow an emergency vote to be taken, which would be after 3 meetings. In an ideal situation, you'd have 6 meetings. What we're saying is we had the Rules and Regulations Committee meeting. If the board were to vote today, then they would vote again next month. It would still be 2 readings, 5 meetings instead of 6 meetings, so that we feel that that is the best approach, and not to race it. It's a little bit, it's so accelerated. I'm not going to deny that. All right, so here are the changes that we went through, and we're proposing changes to policy 1.00, which is the definitions. And really what we're trying to accomplish there is we're trying to clarify the difference between board of directors and POA boards, because we're going to have to start talking about POA board and differentiate that from the ACC board. So we want to make sure that we include that in our practice. The next thing we're looking at is policy 1.03.2, and that is changes to the elections committee to create the POA elections and ACC nominations committee, and we include the purpose in there, but also we create the structure on how this works. So if you go to Roman numeral 4, you'll see that there's an opening on the ACC board. The POA elections and nominations committee must notify the membership in 7 days. Then they have 14 days to apply, and then so forth. Now you'll notice, if you do some additional research, I've borrowed a lot of this language directly from another portion of our policies for when the board needs to fill an open board position. Exact same policy. It's been in place for a long time. It works. So I just replicated it. I copied it. And so we're recommending that change. Next is we tried to make sure that we cover in here. So we included in here a comment in policy 3.08, and there is a reference to the ACC in this document, in this policy. And so we're using the note on August 1st, 2026, the developer assigned the management of the ACC to the POA. The developer retains the right to revoke this assignment. Now you'll notice, you're going to see this over and over again. We just copied it over and over again where it is relevant. Now, if you go to the next policy we're going to talk about, 3.09, you'll see that we include that provision in multiple locations. And this is when we talked about this at the Rules and Regulations Committee. In a perfect world, you'd put it at the very beginning, and then that covers everything. But what experience tells us is that property owners will jump straight to what they need to look at, and they'll bypass any entry statements. And so by including it over and over again, it's just taking up a little bit extra space on the paper, but it makes sure that when the property owners are looking for the information, they can see, oh, this is an important change. So yes, we're replicating it over again, but we're doing it on purpose because people have a tendency to just jump to exactly what they need, and then they don't read everything else. Then we have it again on policy 5.09, which is temporary parking of vehicles. Same iteration again. And then in the declaration, now I referenced this earlier, this is the red notated version of the declaration. We can't change the declaration, but we can change the red notated version, which makes it easier. And you see that we added that in that section. But when you get all the way to the protective covenants, we did have to get rid of a statement in there, which says, the POA has no authority over the ACC, nor does the POA have the authority to modify the governing documents of the ACC. Well, we got to get rid of that one. Now that's in the red notated version, okay? So the board has that authority to change that. So that was a very important change because that would have been really confusing to people. And then we used the same provision over and over again in there. So those are the changes that we're recommending. And so, and I mentioned this at the Rules and Regulations Committee, if the measure for the POA to take over the ACC had failed, what we would have done is gone to all these changes and said, okay, don't do this because it's failed. Yeah. So we would have backed out. So there was no commitment. But now that it has, what we're encouraging the board to do is approve this tonight, first reading, next month, second reading. But what we'd really like to do is actually start, we need to start filling some of these committees as quickly as possible. Last thing I'm going to say is you'll notice that we have not talked about the ACC board in any of these changes. We're going to have a separate document just for the ACC, okay? It'll be on the website. People will be able to see it. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to confuse people by putting in ACC governance inside the POA, because that's just going to get confusing. So we're going to keep it separate. So when we talk about the creation of the ACC Rules and Regulations Committee, we're going to have a policy about that. And we talk about the ACC board, we're going to have a policy about that, but it'll be separate. So that's why you're not seeing that yet. And that can't be created until after August 1st. Any questions? I think I've spoken way too much tonight.
I move to approve the suggested changes to policies 1.00 definitions. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Thank you, JB. Any more conversation about that?
I'm just seeing it
Go
for
ahead.
the first time, so I was trying to skim through it. I did not know there was, does this mean there's a square footage limit of 3,000 square feet for a home? Is that what this is saying? Way down here on C of 2. I thought we're going over.
Are we
all the
proposing to
policies.
change that? Are you
No, it's just it's a red note, kind of clarifying that,
I think it,
and I just didn't know that.
It depends on each subdivision may have different square footage limits, requirements. So it depends on what the plat states for each subdivision. So like, for example, lakefront properties have a higher square footage requirement than do other lots.
But it says the developer could add a new subdivision. So to your point, maybe not all have that 3,000. Right. The way I read it, it looked, I didn't know that.
Good. Anything else?
Oh, we're just voting on the definitions right now, correct?
Definitions, yeah, we had policy by policy.
I apologize, I do not see the change in the definitions. What am I looking for?
It is, it's in red, and it's on the second page of 1.00. And it's towards the bottom, if that.
POA shall refer to Bellevista.
Yeah.
Village
Okay,
property
thank you, I
owners.
see it.
You good? Deborah? Anything else? All in favor of the policy 1.00 definitions? 9-0, thank you. All right, we need a motion for 1.03.2 election committee.
I make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 1.03.2 election committee. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Dave. Any questions, concerns, comments on that one?
I just have a question. What was the thought process behind making the ACC application to the board, only an application, I'm sorry, and not a community vote? What was the thought process behind that? A board of directors here is a community vote. Why not for the ACC? Maybe I could speak English and it would help.
Well, first of all, we did talk about that a little bit with the developer, and they were not in favor of that, and ultimately it would be their decision. They were in favor of the idea of having the elections committee, the long committee name, appoint. Also, every vote costs the POA $55,000. And so every election, so the last board election that we had cost the POA $55,000, and we would not want to replicate that. I mean, it's possible we could combine them together, I guess. But ultimately, in discussions with the developer, they felt that this was what they were willing to agree to.
Are you at liberty to share why they weren't fond of the idea?
Yeah, they weren't that specific, but also the declaration provides for a vote for the board, the POA board, and there's no such provision for ACC board. It's an assignment by the developer. Yeah.
Anything else? All in favor of 1.03.2? 9-0, thank you. Need a motion for 3.08, requests of use for the use of common property.
And this time it's not in red, the change is not in red, it's in blue.
Sorry.
The changes that are in red are from me, the changes that are in blue are from Doug.
Call me out.
Corrected papers.
Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 3.08, requests for the use of common property. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Kim. Second. Thank you, Kathleen.
And the only change is adding that the date that this shifts over to the POA?
That's it.
Anything else on that one? Yes, Dave? Oh, you're ready to vote. Dave is ready to get home. All in favor? 9-0, thank you. All right, motion for policy 3.09, dock and bathhouses.
I make a motion for policy 3.09, dock and vote on policy first reading of the 2 required readings.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Jeff. Any?
Same changes here, it's just adding the date.
And it's on page 3 this time.
Yep.
Thank you.
All in favor? 9-0. And a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 5.07, temporary parking of vehicles.
I make a motion to approve the suggested changes to policy 5.07, temporary parking of vehicles. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Dave. Any conversation, questions, concerns on that one? Oh, all in favor? 9-0, thank you. Almost done.
I move to approve the suggested changes to the declaration, notated version. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Thank you, JB. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I apologize, you guys. Where am I looking for the changes on this one? Or is it everything in red?
No, in this case, we call it the red notated version. So in this one, it's going to be in blue. So there's a change on the first page, which is page 30 of your document. And then you're going to skip all the way forward to here we go. 48 of your tablet, and you're going to see it in blue once again, plus the strikeouts of any strikeouts. So it's going to be on the top of the page where it says protective covenants.
Got it, thank you.
Anything else? All in favor? Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
I did have one question. At the bottom of that, there's a statement that says the developer retains the right to revoke this assignment. Should it also include the fact that the POA has the right to retain this, to revoke this assignment?
Mike, sir.
Doug, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that's not a bad, it's not a bad suggestion. I'm not opposed to that if you want to amend, you know.
But it would be blanket across all the different ones, because it appears over and over
Yes.
again. So something like both parties, the developer and the POA retain the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking, should it?
Yes, he's agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an improvement.
Good call out, Bob, thank you.
Do we need an amendment of some sort?
Do you want to amend every single one, or
No, let's go through, let's approve this one and the next one, and then someone else make a motion specific to that note to approve.
Great.
Got it.
Amend all of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, now vote. 9-0, thank you.
And that one was as amended.
As amended, correct.
That one was as amended. So Doug, why don't you make a suggestion on the wording for the change?
Okay, go ahead and work on the next one.
Work on the next one, and you'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is the second reading on.
No, you're missing one more.
There's one more?
Yep.
Yeah.
Articles of Incorporation. It's okay.
So this would be as amended because it's the same blue notated version, so an amended change.
Make a motion, please.
I move to approve the suggested changes to Articles of Incorporation notated version as amended. This is the first reading of 2 required readings.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Thanks, Bob. Any comments, concerns on that one? Nope, all right, all in favor? Thank you, 9-0.
And now someone should make a motion to amend the prior 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 policies that weren't amended.
I move to amend the 5 previous policies that had not been amended to include the same language that matches the previous 2 that we just voted for.
I second.
Repeat that, Jason.
Can you say that again?
Jessica's got it covered.
Yeah. Any questions on that one? All in favor? Thank you, 9-0. Now you can speak, Tom, sorry.
Last one is the change to, this is the second of 2 required readings for policy 5.03 guest policy, and if everybody's interested in that one, they can view previous meetings.
Jeff, give a second.
Yeah, JB?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
That's okay. Get a motion for the,
I move to accept policy 5.03 guest policy, second reading of the 2 required readings.
thanks, Dave.
Second.
Thank you, Jackie. We've gone over this one before, so
Many times.
no further. All in favor? 9-0, thank you. Okay, got through all those. JB's committee's been busy. Election committee nominations. We have up for vote Miss Katie Hinkle. Katie's awesome. She does a lot of work around here. Just need a motion to,
I move to approve Katie Hinkle to the election committee nomination board, or just nomination.
thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Thank you, JB. Any comments from Ms. Katie? No? All in favor? Thank you, 9-0.
For the record, my son is Drew Hendren, so I won't be participating in any discussion or vote with him.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I
Jeff.
move to accept Drew Hendren onto the golf committee despite his poor upbringing. He's overcome a lot in his life, and I think he deserves this nomination.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, Kathleen. I know Drew, he's a great young man, and I think he'll serve the community well. Any comments additional? Nope. All in favor of Mr. Drew? All right, 8-0. Jeff abstained. And then the last one on the agenda is Mr. John Fritz.
I'll nominate John Fritz. I know him personally. He's a great guy. He'll serve the board well. So I nominate John Fritz for the golf committee.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeff. Anything else on Mr. Fritz? All right, all in favor of John for the golf JC, 9-0. Thank you. Phew. Is there anything else we want to discuss before we go into the announcements?
I move we skip announcements.
Well,
I'll second.
okay, here we go. The next Lakes JAC meeting is Wednesday, July 8th at 2 p.m. here in the boardroom and live stream. All these meetings will be in the boardroom and live stream unless otherwise noted. The next Golf JAC meeting follows that, July 8th at 4 p.m. The next Rule and Regs Committee is Thursday, July 9th at 1:30. The next Board of Directors GM meeting, which is a closed meeting, is July 9th at 2:30. Board member tour, that was moved from 2 weeks ago. It's now July 10th at 9 a.m. Meet in the lobby of the Country Club. This is a closed meeting. Board of Directors' next work session is Thursday, July 16th at 9, and our next regular session is July 23rd at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom and live streamed. Did I skip over it?
I didn't see one in here.
That's an oversight then. They are meeting. Yeah, apologize, they're meeting.
Is there anything else to discuss? Meeting adjourned.